Should I use that as a backdrop? I think like the whiteboard and that probably.
The whiteboard.
No,
it's fine.
Sure.
It should be fine. Yeah. All right.
I told her to change the time because we had at 11, and I told her to say now. So I checked now.
Okay.
And I included his name with David Monk. Michelle, I'm just checking to see if you made the changes because we already did.
She just put it as a post though. The post is up.
Okay, and then if people can also chat with you here.
Right.
And I can type for you if you want. So just
Okay.
We're advertising it now, so hopefully we get a few viewers.
Karen's trying to listen to her. You getting any?
Hello? Yes, I know that. Yeah, is it pick now live? Okay, thanks. Okay, no problem. Okay, thanks. Okay, cool. Bye-bye. Okay, having seen what all right, we have one viewer.
Yeah.
Usually, best time to do these chats is usually
No problem with me.
but maybe we could start doing a little interview into more shop because they are advertising it now and promoting it. So how did you get involved in Chelsea?
Well, I've been at Chelsea now for 8 years. So I used to play for Portsmouth.
Right.
As a player, goalkeeper. Played all my life. Football's something where you don't just get into from the age of you don't come out of university and go, I want to get to football. You know, you've been doing it from the day you first kick a football at the age of 6. You know, it's something that you passionate. You always want to continue with football, whether it's playing or luckily now because football's such a huge sort of global entity, if you like, you can now not be a player and still have a career in football, which is great. So played at Portsmouth and then actually went over to the States and played there for 3 years as well. And then returned back to England, played at a lower level, Aldershot Town. And that was a great experience playing there, but wasn't the same as sort of playing at the highest level when you've got to understand when you get to sort of 21 years old and understand, am I going to go up here or am I going to continue going down? So I had to make an executive decision, if you like. Do I want to continue playing or do I want to try in a coaching capacity? So I took on a coaching role and went through my badges. So in football coaching, you have to do your qualifications, level 1, level 2, UEFA B, UEFA A. Did my coaching qualifications, got a job at Chelsea Football Club. And then really my first year at Chelsea, it was Mourinho's last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I had opportunity to be ball boy in one of his sessions and was inspired by him. And and inspired by Chelsea as a club, really the culture they create there.
Yes.
And got a part-time job there coaching, really, within the community department, then work within the academy, then coach our ladies as well. So sort of got my stripes coaching, and then after that we started our international department in 2011, and then international department then sort of looked at the globalisation of Chelsea Football Club as an organisation.
Did you see Trinidad and Tobago playing in the World Cup in 2006?
Yes,
you did, yes. You're very proud.
I used to be a big fan of Shaq Hislop, goalkeeper.
Really?
So Shaq Hislop was like a hero of mine, and everyone knows Dwight York. So you know, Trinidad is powerhouse in football in the Caribbean. When I came here first, I was really excited because this is the home of Shaq Hislop. You know, he was my idol when I was young goalkeeper. Peter Schmeichel and Shaq Hislop, they were the sort of the first goalkeepers that we started watching that's kind of evolved the goalkeeper's position. So to come here, the home of Shaq Hislop was great. Last year I was really happy because I was on Sportsmax and as a guest, and Shaq Hislop was on there as well. So that was a real privilege for me. And I got a bit starstruck, to be honest, because no one else. You know, I could beat anybody else, but Shaq Hislop for me was the idol. So to come here and work with the Trinidadian players and obviously the Tobago players as well was a privilege for me to come in, and they haven't disappointed at all. How
did you work with the transition between being a player to then becoming a coach? Have you dealt with it well, or do you still miss getting on the pitch?
Yeah, you always miss playing, because we all play football because we were passionate for the game, and some of us have a competitive streak, and some of us just do it to make friends, or some people do it to you know, stay fit. So many different motives why people play football, but for me it was mainly I wanted to be playing at the highest level. That was my motivation. I wanted to play in the biggest games. I wanted to play against the best players. I wanted to play in the biggest teams. And when that kind of, to a certain extent, wasn't a realistic opportunity for me to play at the highest level, I had to then say, right, well, I can still be a coach. And even when I was playing, I was always a captain. I was always kind of advising the coach on what I think and how I can see from a goalkeeper's got a privileged position, because we can see the whole field. You can see all the defence, you can see all the midfield, all the attackers. Whereas when you play in different other positions, you can only really see 2 or 3 people in front of you. But as a goalkeeper, you understand the game a lot more, because you're seeing where the gaps are. It's almost like a game of chess, essentially. You're looking at it and saying, right, there's a gap there, we need to attack there. Or, you know, you get the ball and you see generally they're trying to play down the left wing, so you're trying to counteract that by playing.
It is like a chess game, because then you instruct your pieces to move accordingly when
exactly
they get close to the goal. Yeah.
Exactly that.
I had the opportunity to attend the World Cup in Brazil last year, and I was there for the Brazil game, the infamous Brazil game.
The Germany Brazil.
Yeah. Okay. They were
you're part in history then.
Yeah. I must admit, I wasn't rooting for the Brazilians. Don't tell them that though, because they were very good to me. I love the country.
Yeah.
And I could see the skill set of football, even at the junior level, was absolutely amazing. It makes some of our secondary students here look like amateurs. But I have to tell you that the whole mood of the Brazilian people when they lost, it was more directed towards the coaches as opposed to the players. Funny enough. You sometimes have to manage that expectation of fans not necessarily thinking it's a player issue, but it's a management issue, because I assume coaching is very much like a company. The staff, in this case the players, look towards a coach for direction. Can you share some insights into how that works in the football environment?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my experience in terms of taking Chelsea teams from start of the season to the end of the season, so I've been really fortunate to work with, I'll tell you about our ladies team that I work with. We started out, did the trials, got the players in, and from day one you need to set your environment. You need to make sure that they understand exactly what your environment is, what your authority is as a coach. And there's a very thin line between being a friend and a coach, but you also then have to be a role model. You know, you have to be this person who lays down the law, but can also put an arm on the shoulder and have a quiet word in the ear and motivate a player. Every single player gets motivated in different ways, and the man management is the key part of coaching. Very, very difficult to master. I don't think anybody probably has completely mastered it. We're very lucky at Chelsea to have Jose Mourinho, who probably arguably is one of the best man managers in the game or in the history of the game. So from my experience taking these girls from stage A to stage B, we're really lucky. We won a double that year over Arsenal, so we won the league and we won the FA Youth Cup. And when I look back on that in reflection, because one of the key things about coaching is reflection and evaluation. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And it's the same in any walk of life, not just football. but it is essentially that management structure coming to a company. They look at what the problem is at the point or what we're trying to achieve, make sure everybody's pulling towards that same goal. And then once we've got everybody driving towards that same goal, it's then keeping everyone on track. And it's motivating players in different ways. Some will need an arm on the shoulder, some will need shouting at. But you need to know your players well enough to know which one needs what at which time. You might make a couple of players cry, but you need to do that. That's going to get the best out of them, then you need to do that. So this experience for me, and then looking back on it, was we all believed that we were part of something special. And when you have that belief in a team, when you have that belief in a group of people, then sometimes the impossible is achievable. And all I can say really, it's about understanding what your goals are as a coach, understanding what your goals are as a team, and sticking to them and being consistent. And if you're consistent with your goals or your values in a sense to achieve those goals, then you will achieve them. And I've done that with the teams which I've coached, and we've had huge success with it. And the philosophy and the backing of Chelsea Football Club helps massively, because they educate me and they educate our coaches on what the culture is at Chelsea. And really that would be the key thing about making sure that you are clear and consistent.
Yeah. Well, I see we have a couple of viewers on air with us. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to go ahead and use the chat feature. Mr. Monk is here with us from the Chelsea Football Club, and he's with us for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Hopefully we get him a few beers. He might stay a bit longer. But go ahead and please feel free to type your questions for him, and he'll happily go ahead and answer you live.
Any questions, guys? I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, we're also giving away 2 autographed Adidas footballs. Oh, yes, as part of the trivia, which we'll be announcing in a short while. We'll be announcing that. Yeah. Okay, great. And by all means, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat feature there. I see now we have quite a couple of viewers online. So if you could please go ahead and ask your questions of Coach Monk, and he'll happily answer for you. Just make sure the volume is up here. You could type your answers as well, guys, if you wish. Anyone? Okay, looks like we have a few viewers who are a bit shy there. But let me ask you something. In terms of Trinidad and Tobago, and I know you're here with the Kickstart Club Kickstart program, but what do you think the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association or the leagues down here, what do you think they can do to try and find those young players and mold them? Because, there was a time when, as you mentioned, Dwight York and Shaka Hislop and all of these famous stars, we haven't had that in a little while.
Yeah.
And I know every country goes through a drought sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's different things. Sometimes it's just the inavailability of talent, or sometimes they're just using the wrong techniques or tactics to try and find them. What do you think is a good way of trying to identify those young players and make sure they get the mentorship they need to move forward?
One thing that puts you ahead here in Trinidad and Tobago of other countries is the fact you've got a professional league. When you've got a professional league, that's a great foundation, because players can actually aspire to reach somewhere. They can see it, it's tangible, they can actually earn money to play football. And if you can do that in any capacity, whether it's as a part-time job, it does give you that motivation as a player. But then what we need to do is we need to recognise which of these clubs have got youth development at their interest. If these clubs share the understanding of youth development being the key part of Trinidad and Tobago's football development pathway, then what they need to do is invest in the youth. Now, it's easily said, we can all say, yeah, why haven't we got a youth development program? That costs a lot of money. It was also a lot of facilities and things like that, and coaches, and you have to pay for coaches and equipment. And there's lots of things that come into play that we don't really understand. If you're looking at it from an outsider's perspective, how do you budget for equipment and facilities and coaches? And so it does come down to resources massively. But what I would say is for these clubs, the professional clubs, it's having the youth building themselves grassroots up. You know, don't look at elite down. Build yourselves down to up, because then what you have the benefit of doing is investing in the youth from the ages of 6 years old, which seems very young on the surface, but actually that's the key age, because we call that the fundamental age, between age 6 to 12.
Really, as young as that?
As young as that,
Okay.
yeah. So 6 to 12. So we say it's mainly when you develop all of your motor skills, when you develop your agility, balance, coordination, your ABCs as we call them, your speed, agility, and quickness. We have movement specialists at Chelsea who deal with this age group as well. And there's no reason why you can't have that here. But it's about looking at that and saying, right, if a youngster's first experience of football at 6 years old is a positive one, then you've got a player there for life. If a youngster's first experience at 6 years old is a negative one, then you've lost a player to basketball, you've lost him to swimming or athletics. And Trinidad and Tobago is blessed with athletic talent here. So what needs to be done is investment in
resources.
So to get these youth players in, but no, it's not focused on elitist. It's not focused on like trying to churn out professional athletes. It's focused on fun, enjoyable, interactive football sessions at the age of 6.
And out of that will organically or naturally
Exactly
come with the international talent that a club like Chelsea will be looking for.
Exactly that.
Right.
If you develop young players through love of the game, then naturally you'll get the best players in this region.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you ask Shaq Hislop and Dwight York why they played football, it's for the love of the game. You know,
Yes.
They were playing on the streets, they were playing with their friends, and they had to go out and do that themselves and drive themselves, because they didn't have youth development in place then. I'm sure they didn't. So now the fact is it's a very developed Caribbean country, probably the most developed Caribbean country. So if anything, there's no excuse now why people aren't investing in that. Because if we can all see the benefits in a country like Brazil, for example, or England to a certain extent, we haven't got the best national team, but I can only say as a representative of Chelsea, we've got one of the most successful youth teams in the world right now. You know, we've got through to the Champions League under 19s, which is taking place in a couple of weeks. So we just beat Roma 4-0 in the semi-finals of that. We've won the FA Youth Cup 3 times that last 5 years. We're in the final again against Man City coming up in a couple of weeks.
Right.
We won the Under-21s League over Man United last year. So arguably we're one of the best teams in the world right now. And the reason for that is because we make the experience of football for the youngsters an enjoyable and an infused one. And if they're infused at the age of 6, you're guaranteed to retain those players all the way through.
That's great. No, thanks for sharing that advice, and I hope the relevant sports ministry officials and so on have you met with them?
We've got good ties here because we're coming here now 3 years. So
right.
You know, Brent over at Central SC.
Yes.
Lovely guy, Minister of Sport, I believe,
yes,
at the moment.
That's
got a lovely
yeah.
relationship with him. He played professional in England, so he's played at Gillingham. He knows what it's like in England. We look to possibly run a program with them. It's going to be more sort of aimed at differently abled football players, which is how they sort of paraphrased it.
I see.
But for us as Chelsea, it's about community engagement and trying to enlighten people in the Caribbean about invest in foundation upwards rather than elite downwards, because that's how you achieve your success, and that's how we've done it.
Okay, great. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions coming on, though you have a lot of people that are clearly listening to you. So let's go ahead and pick some winners of these 2 footballs.
Yes.
So we're just going to log on to Facebook and let us draw the winners from there. And everyone who's listening, if you haven't already done so, you can log on to facebook.com/DigicelTT, and you'll see there were 2 trivia questions. Hopefully Mr. Monk knows the answers to them, so you can pick the right winner. If he doesn't, I'll refer to the marketing team, which certainly will have the right answers. So let's just go and find ourselves some winners. And Coach Monk, if I'm holding one of the footballs while we do this, and let me just log you in there. And
so guys, unfortunately, it's not signed by Hazard or Drogba. It's signed by myself and Max. But you know, it's I think hopefully you just enjoy the football and go out and play it. If it's signed by Hazard or Drogba, you probably wouldn't play with it. So if it's signed by me and Max, at least you're going to go out and play with it. But it's a wonderful Adidas Brazuca football for the World Cup.
But who knows, in a few years it might be worth an absolute fortune.
Of course, you know, who knows?
Yep, so let me just go ahead and log us in there and go ahead and choose the winners. Okay, so we're in the Digicel TT page, Facebook page. Again, guys, that's facebook.com/DigicelTT. And we asked 2 trivia questions, Coach Monk, on Friday as well as on Saturday.
Yeah.
And you had to answer, give the correct answer, and we randomly select a winner. So let's deal with the first trivia question that we had. We already actually have identified winners. The marketing department beat us to it.
It'll make my job easier.
Yeah, it does, definitely. Okay, cool. All right. So we'd like to first of all congratulate Kareem Miles Craig. So Kareem, congratulations to you.
Great. This one's coming your way, sir.
Yeah, definitely. Personally autographed. And the second winner is it Ronaldo? Ronaldo. Wow, okay,
Great
look
name.
at that name. Yeah, great name, especially if you're a football fan. So,
Should be
yeah, you know, who knows? Well, he definitely has one piece of equipment for the name. So Ronaldo Dan Nimai. I think I'm pronouncing Nimai. So Ronaldo Dan Nimai and Kareem Miles Greg, congratulations. You are the winner of 2 Chelsea coach autographed footballs in person here in the flesh in Trinidad and Tobago. And I'd like to thank everyone for their time here. If anyone has any questions before we go, just go ahead and feel free to ask us. No? Okay, great. Well, thanks a million for everyone's time and all the best to you. And Coach Monk, thanks a million for coming down to Trinidad and being part of the Digicel Kickstart program. It was a pleasure having you.
It's been my pleasure.
We hope to see you on our Peter Avenue later or something like that, right?
Yeah.
All right, take care. Bye, everyone.